y'all?
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
Oh, now you're trying to be opposite of last week because you came strong last week.
I looked at it, I was like, whoa.
Overly too strong.
Did I eat some sweet or something?
Oh,
some
my
sugar?
gosh. You were extra hyped.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be hyped because we're hyped.
Yeah.
This
What's up,
is
y'all?
That Couple Podcast. Welcome to our podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Kimberly Gums, and this is...
It's your boy, Cleet the Geek, BKA.
Yes.
Cleet Gums.
That's right.
That's right.
And we are that couple. You know, we're that couple that talks about all things married life, all things parent life, all things Disney life, all things Marvel life, all things rom-com, rom-drama, fantasy, you name it. You know.
We like watching movies and shows, okay?
That's right. We're that couple.
We like having a good time.
Yeah, we strive to always be our authentic selves on this platform.
Yeah.
So, you know we are not just that couple, but y'all are that couple too.
Y'all are peeps.
That's right.
You know?
So I always say thank you so much for taking some time
to been anywhere.
Listening to us, or if you're watching us on YouTube, thank you for doing so. You don't have to, but you did.
Come on.
So,
but you did.
That's right. But they did.
Uh-huh.
So before we jump into our episode today, go ahead. Be sure to like, share, subscribe to our podcast. We are on Apple and Google Podcast platforms. We are on Spotify. We are on YouTube, on all major platforms.
That's right.
We thank y'all so much.
That's right. Welcome.
So welcome. So how was your week?
This
past week, I should say.
This past week was good. You know, we've been doing the flag football situation.
Right.
We got rained out.
We did.
Typical Florida weather.
Last week's game got canceled because of the weather.
So we're trying to do a little makeup in
a couple weeks.
We got the scheduled makeup date. But this weekend we should be playing. Hopefully the weather participates. Funny thing about Florida, if any of you are listening and you're in Florida, you already know. You know, at 1 hour or even a few minutes, it could look like, oh my gosh, it's about to be Hurricane Andrew. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And then 30 minutes later, it's like it never happened.
Beautiful day.
So that's exactly what happened, you know. And shout out to the commissioner. He did what he thought was best. But, you know, it's like, in Florida, he should have just probably waited it out just one more hour and we would have been good. So that happened this week. Well, I guess we could talk about this in the kids section, but you know.
Oh yeah.
Shout out to our son. He won an award. We got a chance to.
Are you gonna talk about it in the kids section now?
To 10 something. So we'll talk about.
You know what you say? Well, we're gonna talk about the kids section. But yeah, he won an award.
Just tell the whole thing. So yeah, we'll talk about it in the kids section.
That is funny.
Hey, listen, I was trying to give myself something for the week.
You're trying to fill your spot up.
I'm trying to see. There has been nothing, you know, extraordinary.
You went to the chiropractor this week. How was that this week?
Oh, good. Consistent. Found a good chiropractor. Far different from the one I told you about, the wrestler. So this guy is really good. Yeah, so, you know, yeah, that was good. Yeah.
Regular.
So the kids at school brought them home.
Same old.
Went to work. Logged out. You know. Woo! But trust me, we do have stuff that happen in our life. It's just, you know, you just go through those seasons. Yeah. So anyway, that's me. How about you? How was your week?
My week was better than ever. You know, we celebrated Mother's Day this past weekend. So
there we go. See,
you know,
that did happen.
Hubby and kids, you know, they came with it on Mother's Day.
That's
woke
right.
me up with gifts and cards, and then took me out to eat later on in the day. So, and the kids, you know, also made me some special Mother's Day gifts from school. So.
Oh yeah.
I always in church. Yeah. And I always look forward to those every single year, you know, especially while they're this young, because the things that they say on them are hilarious.
I remember what Paris said? It was something she said.
Was it this year?
This year, yeah. It was something simple. She was like, my mom is really something. I can't remember. It was funny.
Yeah, I can't remember, but it was.
But yeah.
At this age, wrote me a poem.
Yeah, you know.
So it was cute. So I enjoyed Mother's Day.
Yeah.
Outside of that, let's see. like Clee said, it was a typical week for us. We did have to shoot for an audition. I don't know if we ever mentioned it, but we do, one of our streams that we do as a family is that we do commercials here, especially living in Central Florida. We have a lot of opportunities where we could go shoot with a little bit of everybody here.
Yeah, that's
true.
That's true.
We did have an audition to shoot, so we did that this past week.
And listen, if you are a if you're like us, you're that couple and you have kids, know, it could be a challenge. I'm just gonna leave it at that. It always
to shoot.
Ooh, look, the reward is good if you get the audition. If you get chosen,
the role.
get the role, the part, right?
Yeah.
But it's testing, it's testing because essentially you're working in a professional capacity with your family, and it's your family, so they don't really understand that it's supposed to be professional or take it serious. So it's just
you're referring to the kids.
Because
you love working with me. I mean, you love working with the whole family.
Yeah. But,
I know I'm just messing with you, but I know
but she does make a point. I just want to fire the kids. I just want to fire them. But most of the opportunities, they come in the package. So I have to deal with it. But, I want to fire them.
Y'all know how kids. I mean, just like adults. Like, every day, it could be, you just don't know what you're going to get,
It's just like, I mean, you about to get a beating because you ain't auditioning right. It's just, it ain't right. So I just, but Lord. Like I said, most of the opportunities,
but it pays off.
They're part of it.
But it's what seems so funny to me. Like every time we have to like shoot an audition, it always comes at the inopportune time.
And that part too.
Like it's either like we have to fit it in our schedule where it's like late at night,
busy week,
or it's just a busy week, and we're all tired, and then now this one we actually got to say somebody or all of us have to say some lines, or it's just
when a person messing up the lines and you just like take 17. Jesus Lord, just oh my God, I'll say it for you. Or you do a dub over.
Yes,
it's like I cannot.
But like Clete said, it's worth it in the end. But yes, it's a process. So it's not for the faint of heart. But if you could do it and get through it, it's worth it.
That's right. You can pull your family together. It's worth it.
Yes.
Sure.
So we did have to shoot that, and then I'm trying to say, I mean, I think now we can segue into the kids. I know with Paris, she had her typical week. This is the week before the last week of school, so the kids are gearing up for their, end of school activities. I know she has Water Day coming up, so she's been very excited about that. So I didn't sign up for that to volunteer for it.
And then her new thing, it's been being mature. So talk about what she did yesterday.
Oh yeah. So of course her brother is about 3 years older than her, so if he does certain things, she's like, I want to be mature too.
That's her thing.
So oh my gosh, so last night when I was start to prepare their lunches, she just came in and started grabbing her stuff and putting her items in her lunchbox. I like to write their initials on certain things in their lunch, so the kids just be taking people's snacks. So she was labeling each of her snacks,
nurturing.
And she knows, I'm very, like we talked about a couple episodes ago, our personality types. I'm a guardian, so me, I like systems, I like processes. So in each,
I'm listening to you.
Is there something you want to say, sir?
No, not at all. Go ahead.
Yeah, okay. He knows. Anywho, so I have a system and I have a process for my lunch. It's like they know they get like a Gatorade, they get a Kool-Aid jammer, they get like if it's a chip, a bag of chips, applesauce, fruit snack, and then their main like entree, right? And she knows those specific things every day in their lunch. So she take her lunch and her snacks serious. Oh, she does. So she's looking for consistency. Okay. I was like, their class had run the award for in one of their school assemblies. Oh yeah. So her class won a pizza party, and so the teacher was like, "Oh, just to let you know, they're having pizza for lunch, so they don't have to bring their lunches." And I asked Paris, "Teacher says you don't have to bring your lunch because you have pizza." She said that we could bring our lunch too still. So I'm going to bring my lunch and eat my pizza.
Like, yo.
She's serious.
I'm
okay?
getting my snack. Okay?
Yeah, she's always been serious about her food and snacks. But anywho, so she just, she wanted to be mature. So her maturing last night was fixing her lunch. And she fixed her brother's lunch. How about that?
Mm-hmm.
So.
And it's you as parents, as those couple, as being that couple, right? It's just rewarding when you see your kids in certain elements. I'm seeing my son in the flag football. I see Paris dancing, and then seeing this side of her, this like nurturing, motherly type side. Like she gets this little face. It's amazing. Cause it's her focus face. It's funny, So anyway, I thought that was cool.
Oh, proud daddy mode.
Yeah, very proud.
And then our son, I'll let you take this over since you were ready to
I was trying to get something for my, because obviously everyone else has something going on in their week except for me, we got rained out.
Yeah.
So Aiden, he got about a week and a half ago, we got noticed that he was invited to an award assembly at school. So,
which is their end of the year award. Simply, not all kids get it. It's like an invitation you get because you're nominated by the kid's teacher.
Yeah. So, and obviously you want your kid to be acknowledged in any capacity, right? So we were very proud.
Like, where are our daughter's invitation?
Right. Like, did y'all miss somebody?
We missed one invitation.
But we were very proud, of course. And so we got a chance to go to that yesterday. By the time you get this podcast, it'll probably be a few days from
or whenever you're listening to it.
Right. But it was rewarding, He went there. He was nervous. He was trying to guess what he thought it was, and they had a certain cadence to it before the pandemic.
Yeah.
They were doing it every year, so this was the first one since, right?
No, they've still been doing it because
even
in the pandemic
online,
they did a virtual.
Yeah.
And that's when he got the first one. It was the virtual one.
So he did get one.
Yes.
We just forgot. Okay, so look at him. Okay, that's right. So, so this being the first physical one, right? Since the pandemic, it was really cool to go there. Obviously you take photos of them as they go up on stage.
First one since.
First one I paid attention to.
Yes. I just wanted to say it right. That's all.
You're right. Because as I was saying, I'm like, probably wasn't. Because
it's the Guardian in me.
But just go with my truth. It's my truth.
Okay.
Jeez. Anyway, they had the event yesterday. It was really cool. He was trying to guess what it was. So this is where I was getting at. So he was trying to go off of what they had last year. Trying to guess those type of awards, but they actually switched it up this year. They did it off of the core values of the school. So his was
Curiosity Award.
The Curiosity Award, which is essentially the kid that asks the hard questions, that is is thought-provoking.
Has a hungry mind.
So they're very descriptive of Aiden, as we talked about last week, his lab, he definitely has a hungry mind in his lab, when he's
his desk in his room, basically.
If he had paint, he would have paint all over the walls.
On his clothes, like
on
Daddy.
His clothes. Oh, okay, whatever.
Because his daddy was an art student.
But see, I didn't like to get dirty though. That's the thing.
But did you not have paint on your clothes?
It was a season because of the class.
All right.
But once I got to graphic design, I was like, I could do all this on the computer.
I was on the computer.
Yeah, I was done. I was like, I've never
enough with this physical stuff.
Yeah, cause I used to have dirt not dirt. I'm sorry, charcoal, pastel on my forearms. I'd be on the bus not a school bus. Okay, the metro bus. They're like, dude, what does this dude do? I have charcoal all over my pants, just dirty. I get my nice shoes getting messed up. Anyway, so yeah, that was a reward, very befitting for him, and we're very proud of our kid. Our son.
Excited.
All right, shall we move on? Oh,
what?
Ad?
Oh, I was like, did I forget to say something about the kids? So before we jump into our main topic for today, we're going to get into this ad. Today's ad is brought to you by That Couple Podcast.
Ooh, they spend a lot of money with us.
Listen, if y'all don't know about that Couple Podcast, they are serious about that thing, okay?
Yeah.
And if you didn't know who's That Couple Podcast,
Oh yeah.
We're that couple. All right. We're that couple. I'm Kimberly Gums. This is Clayton Gums.
That's right.
And we're a podcast that talk about all things married life, parent life, family life.
Listen, we just
Disney life, all the lives, okay?
Yeah, we try to create.
Well, not all the lives, but a lot.
A little sliver of time, half
sliver.
an hour to an hour, whatever have you,
an hour.
depending on we more towards that hour. I keep going down, but it's really like an hour. But hey, listen, it's an hour to chill with some people that you like, right?
Yes,
people that are like you, everyday people, millennials that are navigating this world.
Millennial.
Yeah, because we're true millennials. Some people try to fit in that. We're real millennials.
Yeah.
But like you, we're experiencing this world and we're trying to make the best of it, right? So we're just trying to be that couple, right? That you would hang out with, that you can talk. We're just that couple that you want to hang out with and talk about the stuff that's happening in this world. We'll talk about, like Kim said, we'll talk about our favorite things, but we'll talk about eventually we'll talk about, things that are, you call them recent events, right? Controversial things we may talk about. It just depends on what we feel comfortable with talking about and just and creating that space for you to come and chill. But then also we want to take it a step further and have you interact with us. So definitely comment in our YouTube channel, right?
Yes.
You're going to
engage with us.
Yeah, give us reviews on our podcast, right? Whether you're listening to us on Spotify, whether you're listening to us on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts. Oh, wow, don't alienate us now. I mean, even though they're green, we're blue bubbles, but anyway, we're not gonna do that. But yeah, interact with us because that gives us feedback, allows us to know if the things we're discussing it really does hit home with you all, and it just gives us that motivation to keep it pushing. So yeah, that couple podcast, that couple podcast,
that couple podcast,
that couple podcast.
Yes. So yeah, thank y'all so much for that. Now, jumping into our main topic today, we figured we'd take a little bit of time. We have the time. I know we kind of squeezed it in last week's episode, but today we want to talk about, since we recently watched Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 and also Queen Charlotte, Bridgerton Story, which is on Netflix. So we wanted to take some time to talk about our thoughts, possible future series and or movies from those two. And yeah, we just want to get into it. So which one you want to talk about first?
Before we get into it, spoiler alert.
Oh yeah, spoiler alert.
I mean, at this point,
you had some time. We gave you some time. Okay,
yeah.
One came out May 4th, one came out May 5th. I mean, today as we're taping this is May 18th. So
come on,
you had some time.
And if you enjoy the Queen Charlotte series like us, you probably watched it in 1 or 2 days. I mean, it shouldn't take you,
it's only
3
6
weeks.
episodes.
Yeah. You're going to go right into that thing. So, which one do I want to start with?
Let's do Queen Charlotte first, since it did come out first.
Sure.
So, if you're unfamiliar with Queen Charlotte, A Bridgerton Story, this was a sub-series stemming from the main series, which is Bridgerton. Now, Bridgerton is a historical type drama.
Yeah. A time period.
Time period, yes. And there's been 2 seasons already, and the 3rd season hopefully will be coming out later this year. So looking forward to it. But anywho, one of the main characters is the Queen, which is referenced to Queen Charlotte. So this one in particular was about, well, actually, not just Queen Charlotte, but it did give us a backstory of Queen Charlotte, of her husband King George, of her best friend Lady Danbury, of even Brimsley, Queen Charlotte's assistant, right hand man, And also
the mom, what's her name?
Violet.
Yeah.
Violet Bridgerton as well. So we got to have like these backstories that we never, got in the original series Bridgerton. Right. So it gave some insight on like now knowing the things that I know from Queen Charlotte, and now looking back on Bridgerton seasons 1 and 2, you could kind of see why they operated the way they operated or said certain things. I'm like, oh, that makes sense now. So
yeah, it gives overall, you motivation for it's just character development, which
that part, that's what and you really like that character arc.
Character arc, right? And I mean, that's something that's one that's one of the reasons we like Marvel so much, because Marvel takes that time
They're so good at it.
Yeah, to give you that character, even though we may think we know something about the character from the comic books. It is a comic book. It can only go to so much depth of that character. So Marvel does a really good job of it, and you see Shonda Rhimes is doing a great job, which she always does with all of her shows.
Kudos, Shonda Rhimes.
Yeah, she builds on, like, she gives you one version of this character, almost like the surface level version of them when you first see them, and then she does a really good job of going back and peeling back, the layers of that character and showing you kind of like what got them to that finished version of them, whether good or bad. It really shows that. So that was really important, because one of the things, to Kim's point, when we were watching Bridgerton the first 2 seasons, I was always wondering, like, why is this queen so obsessed with what's going on in society, or finding out
in other people's lives?
The lady, what's the name, the writer,
Shonda Rhimes?
No, the
Whistledown. Lady Whistledown.
Whistledown, yeah. Trying to find out who that was, and like, why is she so obsessed with that? But now you get some backstory on basically how, there was basically nothing going on in her own household, right? Because of
all her kids.
Because of just the state of how her and her husband had to deal with his, mental illness, and, her not really being attached to the kids because of that, being detached from the whole situation, and finding more interest in just, the kingdom and the people, which most of the time when you see these stories about kingdom, they don't really care about the people that much. They're just really focused on their interests and their lineage. But she's like all into the details and who's going to marry who. And
I was going to say, like,
that's like why she cared.
Yeah, going into like another theme like of hers. To your point, like, she's concerned about, she's picking the diamond of the season, right?
Yeah.
But she really, now having watched Queen Charlotte, it's her really, once she finds the diamond of the season, her, finding the diamond of the season, that diamond picking out the one she wants to marry, and her following their love story.
Yeah. Because of her
love story.
Yeah, right. So. Exactly. That's a good point. Yeah, because she apparently she had a really, timeless love story that obviously was, what's the word I'm looking for? It was hijacked by his mental illness, right? So you could tell she is, even though she gives off this hard facade, especially in the younger,
she's a sucker for love.
Yeah, exactly. And you see her constantly trying to arrange and control that, recreate that, because she's lacking that in her own life. So it had a lot of great elements to the story. I think one of the things a lot of people talked about, which I loved, is they actually attacked or addressed the racial component of Bridgerton, which
the Great Experiment.
Which they call it the Great Experiment. Now, in the seasons, the first 2 seasons, they already had a fully integrated society. So it was really refreshing to see that perspective of that time period, because I've normally associated that time period with slavery, with black people just kind of, always getting in the short end of the sticks, so to speak. So it was really refreshing when they just came out and they were just bold, like, black and white people around here with the wigs on, with the dresses, like they out here, right? And that was really great to see, to the point where Kim and I were like, man, we was trying to find another show once the season ended that we can keep, that experience up, but there was nothing like it. And then of course the infusion of modern day music with the classical music, that
I
just
love that.
It just literally created its own space. Like it was really, so for that aspect, I've enjoyed it. I would say I looked at you and you looked that way.
Oh, sorry. Give me just one second. Keep talking.
No, you good. It's just people like, did y'all both see something? I just happened to reference her and she was looking away. But anyway, so for that purpose, for that reason, that was really refreshing to see because, you haven't seen anything like that. So for them to come in this current series and say, hey, this is how this all came about, and it started with Queen Charlotte, that was really good because then you got to see the drawback that initially happened that we're all accustomed to in our society, right? Where it's like, who do they think they are integrating with us? And, is this even going to work? And we're in this class and they're in this class, right? So you got to see the early stages of that. So that was a cool theme for them to have play out on the screen and address tastefully. So
right, they did really good.
Yeah,
really good writers. I'm trying to think another part that stood out in this series. I like the part, the first, I would say 2 or 3 episodes, of course we were seeing like it from Queen Charlotte's view of like, why they treat her like that? Like, why King George doing her like that?
Yeah.
And then I think it was the 3rd or 4th episode. When it showed when it was like just from his point of view, what was really going down. I'm like, dang, like, the stuff he was going through, it just like changed.
It shows why he was acting so weird. Yeah. Because it was like, obviously he's hiding something. And the first thing you go to is, oh, he's cheating on her or he having some affair. But obviously he was trying to hide his mental issue. Mm-hmm. And then, it was interesting to see the medicine and the doctrination of that day, on how they tried to deal with that, right? Without the information.
Beat it out of you.
So first they were beating it out of him. They was right. Well, that was that doctor was trying to beat it out of him, but the other doctors, remember, they was like giving them all kind of concoctions. Yeah, like all kind of shots.
Witchcraft on me. Okay?
Yeah, they was trying to mess this dude up,
Yeah.
So that doctor, he seemed like he had a solution, but it ended up not being. It's like the premise of it was good, which is to, kind of create a space for, because from what we can see in the show, that whole mental issue that he was having was triggered by stress. Mm-hmm. It was stress induced anxiety. Yeah. So one would have just came to a simple conclusion to say, let's find a way to give him a system to limit his stress levels, and i.e. this wouldn't happen, and this is what you saw played out on the screen, where Charlotte was able to do that, like her being his helpmeet
was calming him
down and having him sane. But this guy was like, yeah, I'm gonna calm you down, then I'm gonna just beat it out of you.
Shock therapy.
He was beating this man up, and it just wasn't working. So, they did a good job with the doctor. Although he had good intentions, he ended up kind of becoming the bad guy.
Yeah.
So it's like she kind of came to his rescue. So that was really good. I liked how that played out. And then you have the storyline, the sub storyline that was happening the whole time with
of what?
Lady Danbury.
Oh yeah.
And both with her relationship with Violet, but then her own story, right? Because you see her in the first 2 seasons as a single lady that's equally involved in everyone's life, like Queen Charlotte is.
Yeah, you're like, what's her story?
Like why you
background?
care so much?
Yeah.
But now you see these 2 ladies. They are the foundation of the great experiment. Like with Queen Charlotte being the queen, she obviously is the catalyst for it. Mm-hmm. And then Lady Danbury and her family being one of the first families to benefit from the experiment.
They threw the first ball of the
season. And throwing the ball as a black family in that society and the ton.
Yeah, and the ton.
Yeah, Mm-hmm. I think that's why you see in the first 2 seasons, they're so invested because
Yeah.
they literally created this. They are the catalyst for
culture.
this great experiment, this culture, this infused black and white. You see Indian,
Yeah, and
right? Asian. You just see them all coming in, and it's just so amazing. And it just, from a macro perspective, it's like, wow, that's really cool. If society was able to be like that, I wonder how far along, having that being hundreds of years. I don't know what the exact time frame, because I don't. Well, I guess we can look it up when you look up King Edward, but whatever time frame that was, imagine that time us being at a place where we're integrated, how much further along we'll be as a society. So
Yeah.
good show.
Overall, good show. Looking forward to season 3 of Bridgerton. And hey, I wouldn't be surprised if they bust out with any other sub-series.
Yeah, how does it rank for you with the other 2 seasons? And
Good question. I was having a conversation with my friends, and it was, everybody was giving their whole take. And for me, it is up there. I think, for me, my opinion,
Okay,
season 1 of Bridgerton, well, it's still up there with me.
Yeah.
Because
that was a strong love
one,
story.
it's the first, and like it was a strong love story, like from the gate, out the gate. You know what I'm saying? And I'm a sucker for a love story. Hence why I love rom-dramas, rom-coms. Hello, I'm a romanticist, so it's the love for me. Just like in Twilight, Edward and Bella, they kind of love, like
Lord.
They
kind of love.
Yeah. So season 1 is definitely like my favorite.
Yeah.
But Queen Charlotte is up there.
Yeah, it's good.
How about you?
Yeah, I think I would agree. I think that love story was probably the most believable one. But then I would say they all are great love stories. Like the second one with the Viscountess.
Yeah.
And the
Anthony.
Indian. Yeah, like I think that is one that, the opposites attract type of story. And something comes out of nothing type thing. And then you have this one, right? And I think this one is just it's the whole it's the little, married at first sight situation where it's like you arranged and, you didn't necessarily choose that person, but then because of the circumstances that you're going through together, you form a bond, and this actually becomes love.
To start loving,
Yeah. So I thought that was really cool, but it was rough, I think, for the majority of the series because you just had so many elements. It's like being a king and a queen. It's like you're not just able to just be human.
Yeah.
And they didn't get a chance to do that until they decided, like, that's the only way we're going to survive. So that was cool.
I agree.
That was cool.
So that was our Queen Charlotte review. If you have not check it out on Netflix. Shout out Netflix. All right. And now our next review is of Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. This premiered on May 5th. This was the third installment of the Guardians of the Galaxy series. And I just did a reel today on my social media. So if you're not following me, at Kimberly Gums on all platforms, okay? I did a reel of my, it's like minute or less review of the movie. And in my eyes,
Looking at the camera.
Yes, I am looking at the camera.
Keeps looking like
and in my eyes, I say, granted, like Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, it's a really good Marvel movie. Like, in my eyes, Marvel cannot really do no wrong unless they just win. We don't care anymore. They're gonna produce a great movie, great acting, great chemistry, great comedy in this Guardians of the Galaxy series. I like the comedy in all 3 movies, but to me,
Lord.
it is not one of my favorite out of the 3 that came out in this series, but it is still a good Marvel movie.
Yeah.
To me.
Yeah, well,
and I did really, and I also said in my reel, I really did appreciate the fact that they did give us the backstory of Rocket.
Yeah.
Because that's a story we really didn't really know in detail, and I like that.
and it's just kind of like unfortunate that it's the last one, because now it's like, well, give me Drax's backstory. Let me see how
everybody's
right.
But what about you?
I feel differently about it.
I know
liked
you.
it.
I know
I really liked it.
He loved it.
I thought it was funny. Of course, they kept that consistent.
Yeah.
Let me see. I think it, like Kim said, I think it was really good to get in insight on Rocket, on how he became to be what it is, because they never really described it. It's just like all of a sudden it's this. Now we know officially it's a raccoon.
Right.
It's this raccoon that's talking, that's just like really witty, and he's super smart. But now it makes sense. Like, okay, what happened? Why he was so precious? To the to the high evolutionary. So I think we came into this movie like, oh man, who's gonna die? They really like. They said it's the last one.
I know.
We were hearing reports
they really
that
gave
Batista,
the feeling that somebody was gonna die.
Yeah, Batista wasn't going to return.
Yeah.
What's Gamora, the real actor?
And spoiler alert for this one, okay?
Yeah.
Huh?
Gamora. Who acts Gamora? Who's the actress?
Oh, Zoe Saldana.
Is her?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Zoe. She said she wasn't coming back. So then you're like, oh man, well they're killing them off, obviously.
And then they keep showing Rocket.
Yeah, they show Rocket.
Oh, Rocket gone.
But so all the way through the end, even the High Revolutionary, no one dies. So they left it open ended. I like
close calls. But.
I learned Kim educated me on Groot, because I was this whole time I'm thinking it's the same Groot. So I'm like, why is he getting buffed like that? But it turns out that it's technically Groot's son, because that was spawned from the original Groot. He was grown from the original Groot, so technically it's his son.
Yeah, and he grows differently.
So I like the new Groot.
Swole.
Yeah, Swole Groot. I like the new team that's formed at the end.
The younger.
There was a possible loophole with Star-Lord and his mask, and at the end when he jumped from the ship when they were jumping from one ship from the High Revolutionary ship to the Skull, and he kind of froze in space. Okay. They were like, why didn't he use his mask? That was one of my thoughts. And when you look into it in some more detail, shout out to the new rock stars, they really break down the fact that the two storylines. So you have Kevin Feige, who's over all of MCU. Then you have the origin stories. So you have Guardians of the Galaxy, Iron Man, so on and so forth. And then you have the major overarching story, which is the Avengers 1, 2, 3, right? Endgame, Infinity War, right?
Right.
Infinity War, Endgame, right? So what happens is when Kevin Feige and the Russo brothers, who were the ones who did all of the Avengers, the major storylines, when they adopt the characters from the origin stories, they get to take certain liberties. So what happened, James Gunn, who's been over the all of the Guardians, he had done away with the mask in volume 2 because the mask got broken when he was on his dad's planet. So no mask, and he was going to be basically trying to navigate without the mask. And they were showing the character arc, as we was talking about earlier, where I don't need the mask anymore. I'm maturing as a character. I don't have to hide behind the mask. That kind of symbolism. Now, although that happened, when you go into Infinity War, he has the mask again because they want to have it for the fight scenes and all that jazz.
Right.
So what it does is it kind of throws off James Gunn's direction that he wanted to take it in. So without getting into too much detail about it, he doesn't have the mask because in James Gunn's adaptation of Star-Lord, he doesn't have his mask anymore because he lost it.
Right.
So, but because the Avengers main story brought it back, it causes confusion. So James Gunn came out with a tweet saying like, hey, because they had to leave nowhere, the Skull, so fast and go help Rocket, he left his mask. That's why he didn't have it with him. So that's like a clean up explanation.
Clean it up.
Yeah. But nonetheless, I loved it. I thought it was a great wrap up. I did, sometimes, you get the tear jerking and the craziness when someone dies, but sometimes I want to be bothered with that, right? I just want a happy end. So I enjoyed that happy end.
Yeah.
One last thing I'll say about it is I like this concept. We all know that Jonathan Majors is, going through a situation right now.
Yeah.
So we don't know if he's going to be Kang. We'll find out in another week or so, or by the end of this month, I think.
That's the timeline they gave.
Yeah, that's when he has his verdict or his case judgment.
Oh, okay.
I don't really know the details, but I'm just kind of.
Yeah, I'm sure Marvel trying to wait it out to see
before
they
what's
make
happen.
their final decision.
And even after that happens, it's still not to say Marvel's automatically going to drop him, right?
Yeah.
So, we just gonna have to find out. However, if that does happen, people have been on Twitter. They've been speculating like it would be really cool if the high revolutionary guy that played him, that black guy, can take over as Kane. And the way that they would make their argument is that he is a variant of Kane. So just like in Loki has a female variant that doesn't look like him.
Yeah.
This can be a variant of Kane, and then they can say, okay, well, let's just switch all the Kanes to make him look like this guy. Because he did a great job as the High Revolutionary. Obviously, he's black.
Was mean and terrible.
Yeah, and I think
great villain.
I think while Jonathan Majors is by in every means a very great actor, I think he's doing great as Kang. I think this guy would do just as good of a job. So,
gotcha.
We'll see what's happening. We just found out Loki is coming out in October.
Yes.
So that's going to continue the major storyline because it seems like they're making Loki the quote unquote Iron Man of the next phases. He's like one of the main characters. So we're going to see how that runs. Yeah, but overall, great movie. Yes. Like Kim said, Marvel always comes with it. And
they do.
Yeah, I mean, I know that they're coming out with this Flash. I just found out James Gunn.
Well, that's not Marvel. First off.
Can I finish?
No, I know. I'm letting the people know. Like.
Yeah. I was gonna.
Marvel is.
I was gonna finish my statement.
The DCU. Go ahead.
So I was just gonna say, Marvel is always gonna do Marvel, and I know this Flash is coming out. But the DCU is just not on the same level, and especially finding out that James Gunn is not behind it. So, even in Marvel not being epic to her, it's still better in my opinion than what DC is doing right now. But we'll see what James Gunn does now that he's over on DCU, and we'll see if he can get them to catch up.
You said Marvel's not epic to me.
No, that this movie was.
Oh, okay. You had said Marvel. I was like, wait, I don't want to. Marvel produces epic movies, yes, but to me, this wasn't necessarily an epic, one of the epic ones, but it was a really good one. What else I was going to say about it? Oh, I believe the next Marvel something that's coming out is Samuel L. Jackson. What's the series? If not, hold on.
It's with the.
It's on Disney Plus.
The Scrolls, Invasion, Hidden.
Oh, Secret Invasion.
Secret Invasion.
Thank you.
I'm about to say Hidden Invasion.
Oh Lord. Secret Invasion, that's coming out in June. I believe that's the next Marvel. Or, because the Spider-Verse is not.
Yeah, it's like with Sony. Even though they're mentioning it, it's kind of canon, but it's not.
So that's
it's almost like what if, you know?
So it's
like,
semi. So that comes out June 2nd. The Spider-Verse movie. That is the second one. Second one, and then so that's June 2nd. Then towards the end of the month, that's when Secret Invasion premieres on Disney Plus.
That's right. Right.
So yeah, so we're looking forward to those movies and series. And in the meantime, since we've watched those things we've watched this past week, I know a movie we watched on our sister's birthday is we didn't never see this one in theaters, but we saw it Dungeons and Dragons. Okay, I was about to say Dungeons of the Dragons. Dungeons and Dragons. If you've watched Stranger Things, you're kind of familiar with the name or the game.
That's right.
That's how I am, because I never heard of it since. But if you watch Stranger Things, then you would know what this movie is about. But yeah, I think that surprisingly, this movie was kind of funny.
Not even kind of funny.
It was funny throughout.
Knee slapping, laughing. Okay,
I didn't expect it to have that much comedy in it.
Well, I came
Chris
to the conclusion that Chris Pine is like your Ryan Reynolds. Ryan Reynolds. Yeah, it's like that sarcastic, funny, like charming kind of guy.
Right.
So yeah, he always comes with it. Like I look back, I'm like, I actually liked all of his movies. I don't know a movie that I'm like, he was terrible in. So he brings that.
Wonder Woman too.
He wasn't the main character.
No, but he popped up in there.
He had some funny parts in there.
He wasn't the main character.
Yeah, and he had some funny lines because he was like a man out of time.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, it was funny. Spoiler alert. They had a fat dragon. We were talking about. We've never seen a fat dragon.
Yes.
He was chubby.
Yes.
Okay. They had a fat dragon. They had let's see.
Bridgerton cameo in there.
Oh yeah, boy. Here's something else.
I mean more than a cameo, but yeah.
What else? What else I liked about it? I liked the storyline. It was not what I thought it was gonna be. Them jumping off the bird at the beginning. That was funny. Gosh. It's a lot of good stuff, good plot, good storyline. Obviously, I bet it was a great experience for those who played the game because
for sure
they were talking a lot of the terminology.
Yeah, and I'm sure it went right over our heads.
Yeah, it was going over our head. I was like, what are we doing next? You know, but. I was entertained. It was funny.
Definitely.
And I think they did a good job. So
yeah, check it out if y'all have not. Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah, I think you can rent it now. You could. You probably can buy it now too for streaming and stuff. So
yes, and some of the shows that we've been watching, we're still watching the series How to Get Rich on Netflix with Ramit Sethi. So we did another episode. I think we have 2 more episodes, 2 or 3 more episodes.
And it's good. It's just changing our mindset on things. We're seeing that a lot of people out here, being individuals in their coupleism, in their marriage and their relationships, and it's like, hey, we can only talk about what works for us. I think. And it's easier for us. I would agree that since we've been together since we were young, we didn't have any wealth established.
All these assets.
Yeah, we didn't have all these assets that we had to bring together. I can understand the complication when you have to do that, but it still doesn't change the fact that you have to bring it together because it's almost, in our opinion, that. It could almost be impossible to really have success if you can't
become
constantly strive to be one. And I say that specifically because you work at it every day, every month, every week, right? It's not like we got one, we became one last year, right? Because we're changing.
Yeah,
there's different things, exterior things that's demanding on us as individuals, as a couple. So there's a constant push to be one, and if you're not doing that both financially, and this is what this guy is really revealing to people. He's like, it's not only about the financial aspect of it, it's about the way you live. If you're not becoming one in your thinking, then you're going to continue to have these issues. So and he doesn't only do couples, he does single people too as well. But for those couples, one of the couples on it, they were saying, I didn't expect to get couples therapy along with this.
With it, yeah.
Right, but you start to see in every couple,
it's hand in hand.
It's hand in hand. Finances, communication, right, and intimacy. Those things. If you're having issues in one of those 3 areas,
they're intertwined.
Yeah, it's foundational. So anyway, that was we've been enjoying this show. So we'll finish it up and.
Okay, with the yawn in between. Okay.
I've been holding that yawn back for 20 minutes. It's been trying to get out. It just means I'm hungry. Yeah. So great show, and we'll look forward to finishing that.
Yeah, and then he's been watching the NBA Finals. Now we're in the new set of finals. series.
We're in the
What is this
Western.
called?
We're in the Western Conference Finals and the Eastern Conference Finals. So, as you all know, my Lakers they progressed. They move forward. Shout out to the Golden State Warriors. They're still my guys. But I'm a LeBron fan, so I was rooting more so for the Lakers. They pulled it off. Now they have a task ahead of them. We should have won game one. I'm really bummed out about that, but I think we learned some stuff. Everyone been talking about, they learned some stuff about how to defend these guys. So I'm hoping that they're not just going to hang their hat on the fact that they learned what to do, but that they actually execute it. So games tonight. So by the time you see this podcast, I would have already saw it, and I would either be happy or or frustrated. So I don't know why I care so much, but I do.
There's a lot.
Yeah, so that's that.
And then as far as the shows that I've been watching, I saw the second episode of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Of course, drama. With that, nothing really new with that. It's like same old. Yeah, that's all I'll say about that. It's still beginning of the season, so I'll have more to say. But right now, it's just
intro type stuff.
The same. And then another show that I started watching recently is Buying Beverly Hills. This is a show that is on Netflix, and it's about a realty company in Beverly Hills, California. The owner, what is this guy's first name? I forgot. But his wife, Kyle Richards' husband, his last name, Yamansky. All right. He's the owner of the realty. And then two of their daughters, they have 4 daughters. So 2 of them works for the company. And it's about them and their company selling homes in the richness of Beverly Hills. So as you can imagine, lots of money on this show. But, I love watching these shows because of the homes. I love to dream shop and see these homes and see these like negotiations and contracts go down. So it's a fun watch. So if you're into that, try out Buying Beverly Hills. And then also if you're into Housewives, of course, get into it with the Real Housewives of Atlanta. I'm looking forward to Real Housewives of Orange County starting soon. So, but other than that, that's what I've been doing or viewing. Anything else for you?
Nothing else.
Well, that's all, folks. Thank y'all so much for tuning in with us this week. I always say you didn't have to, but you did.
But you did.
Thank you for your time.
Yes.
We thank you for your support. We thank you for your engagement. If you're not already following us, be sure to follow us. Subscribe to our podcast, That Couple Podcast. You can find us on Apple and Google Podcasts, on Spotify, on YouTube, and on all major platforms. We're That Couple.
Yeah.
I'm Kimberly Gums. This is Clayton Gums. And until next week.